All right, good Monday afternoon, everyone. Thanks for stopping by for a check of your forecast. It is August 18th, year of our Lord 2025, and we've got a couple of thunderstorms that have developed here over the last hour in the East Texas Panhandle. These are fairly isolated, so don't bet the farm on seeing rain today. Kind of like yesterday, storm coverage should be in that probably 20 to 30% range. So most often than not, you probably won't see the rain, but we do have a handful of thunderstorms in the area. And if you do get caught under one, you're probably going to see some very heavy downpours along with some gusty winds and some cloud to ground lightning. This is the sky cam there in Panhandle. Looking at some of these thunderstorms just to the east of Amarillo, you can see again not extremely heavy rain. You can kind of see through some of these showers, but you will get some moderate to heavy rain, at least for a short period of time, wherever they do inevitably set up. We're starting to see a few showers try and pulse up in Union County too. That may be an area to focus on a little bit later on this evening, but right now they're very juvenile in their life cycle. So they've just got going up there in the last 10, 15 minutes. Let's take a closer look at some of this stuff in the East Panhandle. You can see from Pantex to Panhandle, those are some of those storms that we were looking at not too long ago on the sky cam. These are going to be producing some pretty heavy rain rates if you're caught in the middle, 1 to 2 inches of rain per hour. Though it won't rain probably for 60 minutes. You're probably only looking at some pockets where you get a half inch to an inch of rain, but it will come down very quickly. A good swath of Wheeler County getting some rain right now, so you guys get cashing in. So one of the viewers always complaining about Shamrock never getting any rainfall. Looks like a cell's pulsed up there right on top or next to town. So you guys finally getting a little bit of moisture out there this evening or this afternoon. Childress also getting a good little thunderstorm on top of the community. And we've got a lot of some heavier rain out there in the western side of Cottle County and a pretty good sized storm in southeast Hall County, but currently kind of over just open rangeland. So the outlook for today is just a general thunderstorm risk. We really are not anticipating any severe weather running through the remainder of today. We could get maybe a gusty wind here or there, pushing right around 60 miles an hour, but overall not really expecting a lot of severe weather for this afternoon. Tomorrow will probably be a similar day. We'll see some isolated to scattered storms. We might get maybe a rogue storm capable of some quarter-sized hail and winds to 60, 70 miles an hour. But a lot of them probably won't be severe in nature. So it's not going to be a big widespread issue. Far northeast Panhandle is really the only spot in that level 1 out of 5 risk for a severe storm tomorrow afternoon. So let's put the model into motion, show you what it says for what it thinks is going to happen over the next 24 to 48 hours. You can see doesn't handle this stuff in the eastern Panhandle very well. A lot of this just being driven by daytime heating and thermodynamics. We've got a small disturbance driving some of this stuff up here in the northwest. The model picking up on that stuff a bit better, as it does have a little bit of support aloft to support some of that vertical motion in the air. And so the model does do a better job of picking up on some of that stuff. You can see on Tuesday afternoon some pretty good coverage of storms in the eastern half of the Texas and Oklahoma Panhandle. And then on Wednesday, we'll likely have some more isolated stuff down in the southeast Panhandle, but it should be a much quieter day, at least from a broad view. A lot of us probably won't be dealing with severe weather or storms, but we may have a few of those, general thunderstorms in the southeast on Wednesday again. And temperatures will probably be a smidge below normal with that northeast wind. We've got you in a high in the upper 80s on Wednesday here in the Amarillo area. So this is our next potential weather maker. This is something that I am growing a little bit more excited about as we get closer to it actually coming to fruition or materializing. You can see we've got this really large trough back up underneath Hudson Bay there in the Canadian provinces. This is going to swing in a pretty sizable cold front in the northern side of the continental U.S. It does look like models are coming into better agreement that by some point next week, we will probably be on the north side of this boundary, and it is going to bring in a nice, false perception of fall-like weather. It looks like temperatures could drop 15 to 25 degrees compared to where we're at right now this afternoon. I mean, we're in the lower 90s. We could be talking about highs potentially in the 60s and 70s behind this cold front when it gets here. At least that's kind of the thought process for right now. It is going to be what we call false fall. It's not going to be, keeping those temperatures down for a long duration, but we may get 1 to 3 or 4 days where our temperatures are below normal as we round out August and get ready to jump into that month of September. I also want you to kind of take note of where this ridge of high pressure is at. We are expecting some northwest flow early next week. If this times out well with that cold front, we could see, and this is very typical in the late summer months when we get that northwest flow pattern. You get some of these stronger cold fronts coming through, you can see some pretty sizable storm systems come off of the front range of the Rockies. And so we could be talking about a more wet pattern as we jump out of August as well. We've been relatively dry from a climatological standpoint over the last week or two. We've had some pockets where we've had the rain. It's just been very hit and miss. But this looks like more of a synoptic scale setup where we could have some better rain chances over a wider portion of the south central plains. And that does include us here in the Texas Oklahoma panhandles and probably eastern New Mexico as well. I mean, you can see the Climate Prediction Center likes the odds, at least for right now, for us to be above average for precipitation. They're not heavily favoring us to be above normal. Looks like a lot of that could end up in Kansas, but if you guys know, fronts usually get further south than models suggest here in the plains. There's only like 5 barbed wire fences to stop that cold air from getting this far south. So that is definitely something that I think we should keep in mind and take note of. I'm growing increasingly confident that we'll probably see some rain chances at least spike at some point next week. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see some of this cooler weather actually get nudged even into our area. Right now, they think that we're going to be kind of that battle zone between cooler than normal conditions in the northeast panhandles versus probably above normal conditions down in the southwest. And when we get to the day of the event or the week of the event, the forecast will probably portray a little bit more of that cold bias rather than that warm bias. A lot of this cold air is more dense, it sinks faster, it usually undercuts a lot of that warm air. And so we would expect probably some cooler than normal conditions wherever that boundary sets up. Once you get on the north side of it, it's going to drop pretty significantly for those high temperatures. Current thoughts are sometime between probably Tuesday morning and Wednesday night. That's when models have this front swinging through the panhandles. So we've got your cold front kind of put in there on Monday, having it getting here kind of early Monday night into Tuesday morning. When we get into tomorrow, it could still be Tuesday night, draped on the 7-day. We're still 168 hours out from really kind of being in that near-term forecast for this cold event, which will probably at least give us some nice relief from these lower 90s, which I mean, we won't complain about low 90s. It's pretty typical this time of the year. We've been very fortunate to only have 4 days of triple-digit heat in Amarillo this year. Normally, we have about 10 to 12, so we are below normal in that regard. And if we can get a good shot of cold air in here and maybe even kind of continue with a northwest flow pattern and some troughing in the Midwest, then we might get some more periodic shots of some of that cooler weather. So again, kind of the first signs that maybe fall is just around the corner. Again, usually we just get quick sneak peeks of it as we get out of August and into September. We usually don't see this prolonged 7 to 10 day stretch where temperatures are in the 50s and 60s, but we may get 1 or 2 days with this next cold front where we do see highs in the 60s and 70s, and then we kind of warm back up into those 80s and 90s for a week, get another cold front, and it just kind of starts that step down process as we get into the autumn season. So something to look forward to if you don't like warmer weather. And if you've been unlucky and haven't really seen much rain recently, you still have some minor chances this week, in the next 2 or 3 days. But I really think you're going to see a lot of higher chances show up next week in association with that northwest flow and that cold front inevitably when it does get here. So that'll be another thing to look forward to. That's all I've got for you guys this afternoon. Not really expecting severe weather today, just some scattered thunderstorms, but some very heavy rain in some localized areas is possible. So just something to keep in mind. Some nuisance flooding may become an issue